Here over at SubScribe right now over at Odyssey. So this article goes through a bunch of very reasonable criticisms about Snow White, and it's completely one-sided. There's no attempt to look at the other side of it, and apparently you're istophobic if you don't want to be fed this kind of propaganda. Some people are very grumpy. I bet you thought you were so clever, Rosman, when you wrote that. So Snow White, except nobody is. Talk about, and I thought I was clever when I wrote that. That'll be the title. Talk about a movie that is swimming upstream even before it comes out, and it got put off for a year, and nobody feels sorry for Disney, of course, because they're lizard people. And I gotta say, I take some pleasure in watching Disney go down this path of just movie after movie that loses money, and you think at some point they're going to get in a room together and go, so the direction we're going, are we still committed to this direction? And then they look at you and they give you the death stare. You're like, oh, okay, right. I mean, of course we're committed to woke. I wasn't suggesting we should make money on movies. One of the funny things is the left and right are now against this and other things, but the left thinks that their motive is just and right and reasonable, and that they have the moral high ground because of course they do. But the right is against these things for the wrong reason. It's hysterical to watch these. Some of the further out you go, there's like a horseshoe theory. Like they are going in the same direction, but for different reasons. No, you didn't like the movie for the wrong reasons. Like whatever, neither one of us is going to go pay to see these movies. So the movie is probably going to be another big bomb for Disney because it's called Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, but nobody in it is white, and it doesn't have the story of the original. So what's the point? Like, oh, but it's got the name. Yeah, but movies are more than a name. Would you, I just can't do it to a book. Maybe it'd be more obvious to people, but to these liberal nuts, like heaven forbid they start rewriting books. Maybe they've already done that. Oh, didn't they do that in 1984? They wanted to rewrite it to make it more PC or something. Anyway, to these liberal nuts, the name recognition is what they're counting on. The sets and the costumes will remind you of the original, but the stories and actors won't. So it's like, okay, a girl in the blue dress with the puffy shoulders and the yellow bottom, blue top, and that's like the Snow White dress. It's like a Halloween costume. It's like a cargo cult of Snow White these days. So what's the point of making the thing in the first place? Well, the point is not to make money or even to make art, any other of those kind of mundane reasons. The point is to mock and belittle a classic European story. Same with pretty much everything that Disney has been putting. Disney is not Walt Disney anymore. I'm thinking of when they turned the point. There was a period of time with the Johnny Depp Pirates of the Caribbean trilogy. 3 really fun, simple movies. They knocked it out of the park, at least with 1 and 2. And that was, I don't know, 2013ish, and before that, I think. And then 2015, Star Wars, that first Star Wars came out, and that signified a huge cultural shift in Disney. They decided to just kind of go mask off and go in a different direction from the Pirates of the Caribbean. That first one was just a fantastic movie for what it was, knocked it out of the park. And all you have to do is just keep making movies like that, family-friendly movies with a little bit of heart and humor. Now we're going in the direction of whatever that Star Wars movie was. And then they followed it up with like 8 or 9 god-awful streaming shows. How well are those doing? And not just Star Wars shows, but they did a bunch of Marvel shows. And I think most of the Star Wars shows and most of the Marvel shows have also bombed. So the point is to mock and belittle a classic European story. Same with the Little Mermaid, Africa style. Oh, and their animations are just getting weirder and weirder. I forget the one it was called, where they're on some foreign planet and it's a mixed couple, and the kids are BLT, and they're kids, and they're like little boys are attracted to each other in this animation. Yeah, predictably, of course, it lost $100 million, but that's weird even for Disney to sexualize kids. Two gay kids. That's it's got a lot of people kind of paying attention to Disney now, perhaps even taking notes. And then what else do they do? That I mean, they're Marvels. They've had I think post 2020 they've had more bombs. The Eternals, Shang-Chi, pretty much everything has come out, and it's not just Marvel, it's DC as well. They did the thing with the Little Mermaid, but Africa style instead of I don't know where it was originally set. The stories are German or something. I don't know where Hans Christian Andersen is from. They're a story from that group of people. So what the lizards do? Oh, I was trying to say is like Disney's not Disney anymore. It hasn't. It turned around somewhere between 2007 and 2015 with that new movie. And so they go, one of the complaints, how dare these people complain that Snow White's not white enough? It's in the name twice, dude. It's snow and white. It's Boy Scouts of America. Oh yeah, don't worry, we're changing that. Church of England. Oh, we're gonna actually take away the church. We're just gonna call it Community of England. It's like, this is get in a room. May you live in interesting times. So the lizards try to subvert and corrupt everything they touch, and of course they only do it to European people, never any other group. And doesn't it seem odd that the mainstream media doesn't mention this? Why would they? They're the same captured institution as Disney. They all work together to push this bullshit cancer. Snow White, Peter Pan, which you probably didn't see, it came out I think last year. Little Mermaid, and then there's probably a bunch of others that that Panda movie was a huge. It lost $160 million or something bizarre. Set in Canada, I think, in 2006, and it was you got Devin Stack at Black Pill did a breakdown of it, and it was it had a lot going on under the table with their messaging. They race swapped and destroyed all those stories, and those are just things off the top of my head. Have they considered writing fresh stories if they want to push this globalist propaganda so hard? They look at you again like, no, that's not the point, because they don't really care about telling new stories. They just want to retell your stories. They could write some new stories about pirates and princesses and mermaids and use Indians, blacks, and Chinese if they wanted to. I mean, there's an audience out there. It's like, why don't you give them an organic story? But the audience might not want to see it because, in terms of verisimilitude, there's no story of an Indian going on a pirate fantasy story in England 100 years ago, or a Dutch mermaid who happened to be black, or stories of German fantasy dark forests with blacks, Asians, whoever. And it feels like in some way Europeans are gods to them, gods that they hate, because it's like a cargo cult with these stories. So logically, they could tell a pirate adventure in India, and then they can include a Larry Fink globalist approved non-white mixed cast where they're set in India, but they're blonde Swedes and Russians and Irish for some reason, because their answer to a lot of their questions is simply diversity. And all you have to say is, oh yeah, I don't want to see that. That's not my values. And if they couldn't ad hominem, they wouldn't know what to say. Because, it's like, oh, I'm not into chocolate, I'm into strawberry. It's like, well, what do you say to that? You're chocolatophobe. I mean, they could set these stories there, but obviously it'd be painfully stupid. It'd be diverse, and then they'd make it girl power, so it's feminist. The problem being that diversity and feminism is cancer, and people have no interest in the subject. And, like I say, you got to be kind of more open about saying that a lot of the things I'm saying. Maybe a little bit polite, but let people know why, especially online, why you're not seeing these movies, why they're bombing. That diversity is just not for you, and you have to say it in a way that you're not aware of the consequences of your speech. You're not aware of the current politically correct climate. When you go, diversity, just so lame, and just to kind of watch their reaction. You have to pretend to be just totally obtuse. I bet that's not hard for you, is it? No, I'm actually pretty good at that. So they've been trying to push this girl power, vaginal infection stuff for the past 10 years, and the audience just refuses to buy tickets, probably because they're all Hugo Boss, or because feminism, diversity isn't organic. It's literally propaganda from these lizards. And don't you think it's odd that the SJWs don't run to the theater and support this crap that they say they want? Or they almost never do. The only difference is that we're honest about why we're not into it. Get on social media and explain that gay movies just aren't that popular because, no offense, most people aren't gay. We don't value diversity. And we're all seeing the consequences of feminism and how friggin' evil it is. Congratulations, feminists. Now you don't have to get married and have a family. You get to be a cum dumpster and get eaten by your cats when you die. Anyway, the SJW kids are triggered by Gal Gadot is, I don't know, using kids for deletion practice or something in her homeland. And it was an issue with the first Wonder Woman, but obviously now it's much worse because they've been at conflict for quite some time now, and the numbers are unfortunately starting to add up. They've got to make sure they get all that sweet waterfront property, I guess. And here's the thing for the virtue signaling left. Both sides in that fracas, hate you. Your virtue signaling for either side is disgusting. Same for the MAGA normie types, same holds true. Have you ever stopped to consider that both sides are horrible and deserve each other for eternity? Came out a little harsher. Anyway, the difference is I can say it, but the left has to pretend that they wouldn't get taught that gravity is 9.8 meters per second squared. Everything is fake because it becomes politically incorrect for people to just speak the truth without getting kicked off the platforms eventually. You can ignore the things, but not the consequences of ignoring them. And that's the number of people not watching these Frankfurt School Pravda pieces of sodomy. So the kids don't like Gal Gadot because she's from that region, that area, and that warm area of the world, and I guess she wants to level the opponent. And Ziegler is on the other team, which is weird because I thought they were both from that same region. So the left won't see it because of Gal Gadot, and they're just, I guess, fed up with her. And I think a lot of people are just kind of tired of woke race swapping ruining everything. Can't we just get a movie as the creator intended it? No, of course not. That's exactly what the Nazis wanted. And these people are communists, and you can't have any nice things. The other reason not to watch it is because it's called Snow White. The central character is supposed to be a fair German girl, I think. So they made her half Brazilian or something. Neither Snow White or the witch are white people. So what's the point of the story? Oh, well, it's a classic love story. Except you took that part of the story out also, which, the three kind of main points of the story, and then the third point would probably be the seven dwarves and their relationship. Because hetero relationships are too nationalistic to them because, they form strong families, strong tribes, strong nations. So the love story is gone, and it's about girl power, being stunning and brave, and that kind of nonsense. So feminism, which nobody wants. They just had Fury Road, The Marvels, Madam Web, Borderlands just came out, Black Widows, Eternals bombed, Charlie's Angels, Terminator, the last one, probably a couple other girl power movies. Like over the past 10 years, there's been about a dozen of these female-led movies, and they're female-led in the wrong genre. The action-adventure girl doesn't do what they want to do. Barbie did a tremendously well because it was in the genre they wanted. It was two beautiful blonde people running around, some kind of comedy with some preachy feminist talking points for sure, but it was what women wanted in the movie. They didn't want to see Margot Robbie in Birds of Prey, right? She was in that. And how did that do? Oh, it absolutely bombed. And then Deletion Squad Part 2, I think, bombed as well. And that was, I don't know if that was girl power. That just kind of wasn't anything. Oh, you know what? There was a little bit where she didn't need to be rescued. That was, that kind of stuck out as, you would have think that Hollywood would have learned their lesson with at least girl power-led films. But no, they just keep making these movies. So, at this point, you got to know it's not about a return on investment. It's about this is a religious adherence to their ideology. Their dogma is woke, and there's just too many movies that have lost too much money. I think Disney lost $1 billion last year because of this kind of stuff. Anyway, like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you guys all next episode.